Hello everybody, we're back, HelloMD Live. We had a few technical difficulties, but that is okay. As we introduced our guests, we have Dr. Cheryl in our studio today, as well as Seibo Shen, two very beautiful, amazing people. And today we're going to talk about vape technology, as well as the benefits of using cannabis and CBD in your workout regimens. So thank you both for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Dr. Cheryl, would you mind sharing with us again about your background and how you got into cannabis?
Sure, thank you. My name is Dr. Cheryl Bugailiskis. I graduated from the American University of the Caribbean Medical School and from University of Illinois at Chicago residency program as a pediatrician. But as I was working in primary care, I felt that I was spending more time typing notes and only spending 5 minutes a day helping patients. And so I was really discouraged by this. So when I started helping patients with medical marijuana, I felt like they were more receptive and happy for their treatments, and that really filled the void that I had to help people.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here. For those who are tuning in, Dr. Cheryl is here to answer any of your questions. We are more than happy to take them. So be sure to drop a comment and let us know what your thoughts are. If you have any particular questions, leave them in the comment section and hopefully we can get those answered for you today. But in the meantime, Seibo, it's wonderful to see you.
Good to see you again too.
Would you mind telling us a bit about your background and how you came into cannabis?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the founder and CEO of Vape Exhale as well as Hanu Labs. I got into the cannabis industry, or I got into cannabis initially because I was working as a stuntman in college to make ends meet. As you can imagine, you accumulate a lot of injuries, and I started taking ibuprofen and acetaminophen. My doctor started prescribing me Vicodin as well as Percocet. Over the course of 6 months, I started developing a lot of stomach pain and getting ulcers in my stomach. So my roommate, who did consume a lot of cannabis, would always recommend trying it. I was very adverse to smoking. I grew up in the 80s, so I was worried that if I tried this gateway drug, the next thing I'd be doing is shooting heroin or smoking crack. But once I tried it, I realized it made all of my physical pain go away, and I really liked the way it made me more empathetic and an inclusive person. And the only thing I didn't like was the fact that I had to smoke it. So I wanted to start figuring out healthier and better ways to deliver the cannabinoids to my body.
That is wonderful. So for everybody who is tuning in, today we're going to be doing several giveaways of his newest invention, the Hanu Stone. Now, for those of you who haven't seen this or heard of it, it's a really incredible vape technology, extremely portable, and we're going to talk more about the technology behind it all. But just know that you have a chance to win one of these just for tuning in. So tell us a little bit more about Hanu Stone. Where did it come from and how it came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, I started another company called Vape Exhale. Our flagship product, the Evo, has been High Times Desktop of the Year for the last 5 years. And the reason why we started off with the desktop was, as with all technologies, things get smaller, more portable, and affordable. So before we wanted to make a portable product, it made sense to start off with a desktop. Now, with this particular product, we noticed that as the industry shifted, people wanted more convenience, but they didn't want to give up that great user experience that you would have with the Vape Exhale Evo. So we wanted to design something that looked great, that felt great, but when you used it, it gave you an even better experience.
That's wonderful. Well, everyone, it's time for our very first giveaway. So if you are tuning in, go ahead and drop us a hashtag. Write a comment with the hashtag HelloHanu. That's hashtag HelloHanu. As we see, Seibo is demonstrating just how wonderful and easy it is to use. So hello, Hanu. And it looks like we have our first winner already, so congratulations, Sam Call, SAMCOLL. Thank you so much for tuning in. You just won your first stone, and we have several more coming, so stay tuned, you guys. This is really exciting stuff. So Seibo, let's talk more about the Hanu now that we've gotten into it. You showed us kind of how it works, and I'd like to get a little deeper into it because it's really unique and the shape of it, all of this. So can you kind of tell us how the technology works and how the pods actually work as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So I talked about we wanted to look good, feel great, and hit even better. So the first thing you noticed was the unusual shape of it. And we noticed that in the cannabis space, only 7% of cannabis users smoke cigarettes. So most of the vaporizers on the market are long and skinny, and we thought, well, I thought, why are we mimicking the form factor of something that's bad for your health? So we wanted to get away from anything that looked long and skinny like a cigarette.
Okay.
The second thing was with the asymmetrical shape, Mother Nature doesn't make symmetrical things, so we wanted to get away from the fact that we were yet building another piece of technology to consume cannabis, so we wanted it to be asymmetrical. And one of the things that we really liked about this shape was that when you hold it in your hand, it gives you this really cool tactile sensation. We call it, it's like a worry stone, where if you can't utilize it, you could just rub it in your hands and get some anxiety relief. And then the last thing, like I said, was to make sure that it didn't just look good and feel good, but if you were like a cannabis connoisseur that really loved the terpene and flavor profiles of all your favorite cultivars, you wouldn't be disappointed with a product like this. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is that there's a mouthpiece on the outside that you share with people. And then when it's your turn to enjoy cannabis, you just take off the mouthpiece, and then you could use the private mouthpiece. And we always saw cannabis as a very social experience, and many times when you are sharing cannabis with folks, some people get sick. So we wanted to
germs.
Correct. So we just wanted a way that you could share the gift of cannabis with others without sharing their germs back with yourself.
Absolutely. And it's so easy to use and so easy to assemble. I was shocked the first time that I saw this because it's actually all magnetic. Right? So it makes this very, very user-friendly. The pods just drop right in. The top mouthpiece just clicks right on there. So it's just really beautiful. Congratulations on creating something so unique.
Thank you so much. And with the magnets, we just wanted this thing to assemble in a very easy and intuitive way. Our previous product, the Vape XL Evo, while it did give the best user experience for people, it was more there was just a lot more that went into it, and we noticed that for many new cannabis users, kind of learning like which dab to buy or how to shred your herb and how to load all these different repositories was a bit of a steeper learning curve, but people still didn't want to give up that really high level of user experience. So we tried to be very holistic in the way that we were designing this, so that if you were a casual user or a cannabis connoisseur, it would check off all the boxes for you.
I love it. And can you tell us what the meaning of Hanu is, or where does that name come from?
Absolutely. So Vape XL used to have a monkey wearing a crown as its logo. That monkey was actually the Hindi god of healing, Hanuman. So as we introduced this new product, we noticed that the industry was shifting as well. So we just wanted to rebrand the company into Hanu. Hanu is also the Hawaiian word for breathe, and breathing is one of the most important things that we do.
It's important, and it's the first thing we do when we come into the world, and it's the last thing we do as we leave it, right? Dr. Cheryl, would you mind sharing with us your thoughts on vaping and what you recommend to your patients when they come to you and say that they smoke already, and the alternatives?
So a recent study out there in the UK had a consensus of all the experts in the field, and they consensus that vaping is actually 95% more better, than smoking cigarettes. Okay, so that's what the consensus is right now. When you vaporize a product, you're actually heating it to a point before combustion. So if you don't have combustion, you don't have those large particles that are causing lung cancer that you're seeing with cigarette smokers. So vaping is avoiding this. So when patients are coming in, you always want them to start slow and low, like Seibo always says. That's really the best way.
Okay, I love that. And I think that something that's really important that newer consumers know about cannabis is that when you are consuming cannabis, it's really important to source your oils, especially from legal outlets, because they are fully tested for those pesticides and extras that would be detrimental to your health. So not oil is created equal, and that's something that we want our viewers to know. So just keep that in mind. And thankfully, Seibo, you've actually partnered with really incredible producers of the oils that are filling your pods.
Correct. As you mentioned, the hardware is only one half of the equation. If you're not putting in the proper oil, then you're not going to get the therapeutic benefit and utility that you're looking for. So when we were looking for partners, not only did we want them to have, a great looking brand and high quality oil, but we wanted to make sure that the way they approached the plant, they were growing it in a sustainable way. We wanted all of our partners have either won a hemp con or a cannabis cup or a chalice cup, so we know that the flavor profiles of their of their varietals are very high. But at the end of the day, like you said, we wanted to make sure that the oil was clean. And the reason why we partnered with them was to ensure that no matter which partner pod that you purchased from us, you could rest assured that the folks at Hanu made sure that they were pesticide-free. Our pods are also lead, cadmium, mercury, and arsenic-free. Yes. And this way you could enjoy your cannabis and not worry about any detrimental health effects of poorly created oil.
Yeah, that's so important, and it's great to know that you are thinking about all of those things as you're producing these, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And everyone, I think it's actually time for our next giveaway already. So for those of you who are tuned in, please drop us a comment with the hashtag HelloHanu. That's a hashtag with HelloHanu. You have a chance to win one of our stones. The pod does not come with it, but the stone does. So go ahead and leave that hashtag and we'll see. It looks like we already have our next winner.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations, Carrie Eve Farms. Yay!
Wow.
We're so excited. Everyone wants to win one of these. You are going to be one of the first people to own the Hanu Stone. This is really new to the market, available through very select outlets right now, including HelloMD. And if you guys are also tuned in and you haven't won yet, you can also just purchase your own stone. So just scroll down on the HelloMD website and you can purchase our bundle, which is at an amazing rate. And we're offering this special deal through Sunday. So this is really fun to be able to give everyone an opportunity to really experience this product. We have another question.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. So how does this recharge? And I am going to preface the answer before you answer with, I have had one of these for several months and I haven't had to recharge it. So maybe you can talk about the technology behind it, and I'm sure it will need to be charged at some point.
Correct. So recharging it is very easy. There's a micro USB input right here. So if you have a phone charger, obviously you have one of these micro USBs as well. In addition to that, as you said, you've owned one for months. We have a 500 milliamp battery, which is roughly twice the size of your standard vape pen battery. So it should last twice as long.
Yes, for me it's lasted a really long time. I've used it a lot, but I tend to take micro doses, and there's no way to really measure the dose of what we're getting with this, but you do get a really big hit. So it's easy to just take a little puff and then wait a little bit of time before you keep vaping, right?
Absolutely, and we do want to definitely get to a place where our devices will let you know how many milligrams of THC or CBD or whatever cannabinoid that you're consuming. But one of the things that I always tell people is, yes, that will give you an idea, but everyone's biochemistry is a little bit different. So it's very important to pay attention more to your body. So for myself, I like to use the minimum amount to get the therapeutic benefit that I'm looking for. So I like to sip slowly, and then once I feel that I'm getting that right feeling, that's when I back off. And I honestly think that's a better way than just saying every 4 hours, I need 5 milligrams, because sometimes it's not every 4 hours, and if I don't need to inhale, then I'd rather just wait another 4 hours or until my body needs the therapeutic benefit that cannabis provides.
That's wonderful. Dr. Cheryl, can you actually touch on these therapeutic benefits, and how does the cannabis or CBD interact with our bodies and our metabolisms, and why are we feeling these amazing effects?
Sure. So the whole cannabis plant has more things in it than just CBD and THC. It also has anti-inflammatory properties, antioxidant properties, just like you think about vitamin A, C, and E. It's helpful for many reasons. People feel less anxiety and depression. Basically, the product that when you're using cannabis, it's basically being metabolized in your body in a way that everybody's so individually different. You have to do the dose that's proper for you. If you take something that's like an edible, it's going to possibly be metabolized slower or faster, so you just have to go slow and low like we were talking about before.
I love that. Thank you. Seibo, now I have been a longtime follower of yours, and I have had the privilege of seeing that you actually are an athlete yourself. And you practice jiu-jitsu, and you actually compete.
Correct.
So how are you applying cannabis to your regimen and your own rituals, and what are you seeing in its effects in your competitions?
Yeah, so like many people, I began using cannabis and CBD as a way to manage my pain. Over the course of running these two companies, I met a lot of professional athletes that had purchased our device, and I naturally assumed they were also using it for recovery purposes, but many of them, I'd say north of 85%, had told me, yeah, before practice we would consume cannabis. Many of them have also come out on record that before the games, their very best games that they played, they would consume cannabis before practice. And I myself, when I was studying martial arts, in college, I loved training with cannabis, but I always felt very guilty that, there was just some weird thing that I was doing in the closet by myself. But once I learned other athletes were doing it, and professional athletes too, I wanted to re-experiment with it while I was doing jiu-jitsu. So for jiu-jitsu, as I mentioned, it helps with the recovery, but where it really helps and benefits me is it puts me into flow state. And when I am in flow state, I am the best version of myself and I am able to compete at a much higher level. And without cannabis, it's very hard for me to focus and get into that state of mind. So for me, before practice, I will consume a very small cup of coffee. I will consume a landrace sativa, most likely red Congo. I'll do some Kundalini breathing yoga, breathing exercises like breath of fire. Mm-hmm. And once I'm done with that 5-minute ritual, I feel very free of a lot of the mental baggage that I was carrying into the training session, and I'm able to have the best training sessions of my life every time I do that.
That's fascinating. It's, as you know, I also teach yoga, but I teach a very unique style of yoga called Bend and Blaze, mm-hmm. which infuses the practice with cannabis. But it is a conscious consumption. I encourage my students to consume the least amount necessary for that desired effect, and just enough in order for them to feel less pain and more present. And I think that you are doing a very similar thing with your practice as well. So understanding that there is a way to do that and to use cannabis without just getting high. I think that is a common misconception that people have, that, oh, cannabis, it just gets you high. THC just gets you high. No, it can actually focus you. It can help you be more present because you're not feeling that pain. Dr. Cheryl, what are your thoughts on pain and pain management and using cannabis during a workout regimen?
Sure. So what we have to know is that the CDC actually reports that over 650,000 opioid prescriptions are prescribed every day. And 500,000 of those people have died from overdose in the last 15-year window.
Wow.
So that's why the medical field, I think, is looking for an alternative to opioids for pain. It works excellent for pain, acute pain, chronic pain. Usually when you're dealing with any kind of muscle pain, nerve pain, or chronic pain, I recommend high CBD products. When I'm dealing with patients with acute pain, I do products that are higher in THC or equal parts. So a CBD to THC ratio of 1:1 is great for someone with acute pain that they have to take care of now.
Okay, wow. And it seems that everybody is dealing with pain. Mm-hmm. It's such a relatable concept, and not only physical pain, but also just mental and emotional issues that we're all dealing with. And sometimes cannabis seems to just ease that. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, and just if I could interject really quickly, we were talking about recovery and cannabis for sports. One of the things that I realized was, we just haven't had the proper vocabulary to describe these things. So as this industry matures, as we learn more about the plant, we already know that there's medication, there's also intoxication, and what we like to call facilitating flow state is activation. Mm-hmm. So we found that by having words for this, it just makes these concepts much easier to talk about and for people to grab onto.
I love that. So you keep saying flow state. So let's talk a little bit more about that. I am very curious as to what your definition or your opinion is on this, and how would you describe flow state?
Yes, so like you, I learned about flow state when I was younger. I would watch athletes like Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods. They would always say they're in the zone.
In the zone. That is what everybody says.
Yeah, like time slows down, the basket gets bigger, the golf hole's so big he can't miss the putt. And I always thought, how come I've never had this feeling. And as I grew older and I started understanding what flow state was and how it's being present and to not be distracted by any other things that are going on and just being fully focused on the activity that you're engaged in. And I think one of the easiest examples, and everyone's had this, is, you know, when you had that crush on the girl or a boy, your first crush, and you guys got on the phone together and you had a wonderful 6-hour conversation that only felt like 1 minute. Well, you were in flow state. And I think another great example is when, you know, rappers begin freestyling and they're able to just pull words like out of the ether and it's rhyming and it's making sense. And well, it's because they're not thinking like, oh, this guy's listening to my rhymes and he's judging me. It's no, they're just completely tapped into that flow state of mind and just letting the words come, and it's just expressing itself through their bodies. And for me, you know, when I could tap into it for jiu-jitsu, I know that my performance increases. I don't know how many percentage points, but I've yet to lose when I've been in flow state.
Amazing. Yeah, it's getting out of your mind and just getting into the moment, I think, right? Because quite often we're overthinking. Dr. Cheryl, can you maybe explain to us why this is happening or what's going on in our brains that allows this to be facilitated?
Sure. So flow state is when you're at your optimal level of consciousness. You're feeling decreased anxiety, decreased pain, and more focus during that. So our bodies have something called an endocannabinoid system, and that system makes specific endocannabinoids, and we already are using those. So we're not only using it for anxiety and the pain and the focus we talked about, but you're also using it in things like increasing your immunity. So it's decreasing people's, it's been studied to decrease people's breast cancer cells. Really? It also is known for the runners, the sensation that you're feeling in the runner's high. Some experts say that that's where it's coming from. But in addition, for everybody, when a mother has breast milk, she actually is making endocannabinoids in her breast that is causing the baby to suckle. If you actually, they did a study where they stopped the actual anandamide, which is the actual compound we're talking about, when they stopped it, the baby didn't suckle. So you can see how important this is for everybody.
Wow. And that is something that is so important for our new consumers to understand. You don't need to be afraid of cannabis. In fact, we are already made ready to receive. We all have an endocannabinoid receptor system. We are all adept to receiving cannabis and CBD. It's just a matter of learning what your ratio is and learning what terpene profiles or what strains are best for you, which is why we all say start low, go slow. Yep. It's really important. So it looks like we're ready for our next giveaway.
Wow.
Already. This is so exciting. So for all of you who are tuning in, we want to get you your first Hanu Stone. This is really incredible vape technology. The pods go right in. You put the mouthpiece on it and you hit it. It's ready to go. And it looks like, oh, we actually have a question about these. Will the pods be widely available in California?
Absolutely. So we just soft launched it 2 weeks ago. It's currently available in San Francisco as well as Los Angeles. Yes. We have awesome delivery services like HelloMD that if you're not living in those areas, you could still have it delivered. But we are quickly expanding, and yes, we will be statewide, and not only statewide, but we plan on being in other states as well. So if you're interested in bringing Hanu Stone to your state, go to your favorite dispensary and ask for it.
Absolutely. And just a friendly reminder that HelloMD is doing an incredible bundle special. All you have to do is scroll down to order yours if you're in the state of California, and you will get 2 of our pods along with the stone with an incredible, tremendous savings. But it looks like we have our next winner, and it's Little Baobabs.
Little Baobabs. Yes, yes.
Congratulations, you have won your first stone, and we will be in touch and be emailing you about that. So thank you for reaching out. So let's talk more about this whole CBD versus THC thing. I want to get into that and understand more about ratios. Dr. Cheryl, can you tell us, when somebody is just starting out, say they're a brand new consumer and they say, you know what, this sounds good for me, and I would like to try applying cannabis or CBD to my workouts. How would you suggest that they start in going about that?
Sure. So I do Pilates, I walk, I lift weights. So it's very important for me that I am basically using cannabis appropriate for what I'm doing. So I always suggest when you're pre-workout, microdosing is great because you're using a small amount of THC, but you're getting increased relaxation and more focus. Post-workout, it's great to do high CBD products because they're great for inflammation and recovery. I use creams. If you don't want to feel any high, you want to feel completely, you want to try something without, being scared, creams are a great way to start, and then you could slowly work out.
Topicals are actually one of my favorite things. And there's so many different types of topicals, from body butters to lotions to bath bombs, soaks. There's all kinds of things out there. So it's really exciting to kind of explore with that. How do you apply your cannabis? So before your workouts, you mentioned that you use specific strains and cultivars.
Correct.
Are you vaping? Are you smoking? What do you find works for you?
Yeah, so I have a pretty dialed in routine that's been kind of adjusted and perfected over time. But what I like to do is I take a CBD edible right before I step on the mats. A class is usually 90 minutes long, so I know in about 60 to 75 minutes that's about to kick in. And for the first portion of class, when we're learning techniques, I like to stay in a sober state of mind. Okay. It's just easier for me to learn that way. But once we start applying the techniques, I'll take a 5-minute break, step out, I'll get activated, and then I'll go practice the techniques. And then by the time class is over, the CBD edible had kicked in, and the anti-inflammatory properties make my body really relaxed, and it's just a great way to end the evening.
I love that. Dr. Cheryl, what are your thoughts on using edibles versus topicals versus smoking versus vaping? There's so many ways to use cannabis. So can you give us some of your thoughts, especially if people are dealing with inflammation?
Yes, so very often people come with chronic diseases, chronic inflammation. That could be arthritis, it could be autoimmune conditions causing it. And when patients are in pain, right, they need relief. They've tried everything. So I recommend a CBD to THC ratio of 20:1 very often to my patients, twice a day, every day. That will, from inside out, start to help you. It will take time. You have to be patient. And then you can use topical creams for local pain relief. Great option is a CBD to THC ratio of 1:1, because for topical, if you really want to get into arthritis, this can be a little bit stronger when you add the THC.
Okay, so THC does make a difference with topicals.
Yes,
which I think a lot of people have a lot of questions about, because they're like, does it really need the THC? Sure. But it can help.
Sure, and high CBD products, you're thinking more muscle. In creams, you're thinking about more muscle pain, where if you add the THC, you're thinking of all the other pains you might have, like the joint, a broken bone is going to need some THC. It's a little bit stronger.
Understood. I didn't even know that. I love this. And your thoughts on smoking? Do you recommend smoking? Do you find that some of your patients prefer smoking to topicals, or what are your thoughts?
So always as a doctor, we're recommending vaping because right now it's just the safer route. There is all studies we know that smoking causes lung cancer. So vaping's a great route. People will use edibles if they want to go a safer route. But I think a really safe route too is tinctures, which is drops under the tongue for especially people that don't want anything in their lungs. However, vaping, we discussed, it's actually a really safe mechanism that we find right now.
Awesome.
And just to add a little bit, I agree with the doctor 100%. Like if you take a tincture or an edible, like that has no impact on your lungs. That is the best way. But what we found is many times the time it takes for you to digest, it could be anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes, depending on what types of food that you've eaten prior. It could affect the way that you feel. So I think that the reason why I like vaporization is that it is easy to titrate like smoking, and then it has a rapid onset like smoking, and then as she mentioned, 95% better than smoking as well on the health side. So, when you kind of consider some of these factors, that's why I think vaporization is very good. But for myself, I will vape when I need the instant relief, but I tend to eat edibles when I know, like if I need to sleep or if I'm going to spend some time at home, and I'd rather not just keep puffing on a vaporizer.
Yeah, that's great. And for those who are interested in vaporizing, let's actually talk a little bit more about the stone and the technology, because there are no heat settings on here.
Right.
So can you tell us more about just the design, how the coil coils, or I'm not sure if there's cylinders that are inside the pods actually work. How is the heating element working here?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, like the shape and feel of it's kind of like the sizzle, but the steak of it is actually the pod.
Okay.
So this is where all the magic happens, and the reason why the pod is so important is, number one, California just started doing Category 3 testing. That was for lead, mercury, arsenic, and cadmium. I will tell you that every other manufacturer failed on their very first try. We were the only ones that passed on our very first try. So that's one of the things that, outside of the performance of the device, I'm just like, it's safe. The people that made it, weren't forced to make it this way. This is just the way that they wanted to do it because we have a close connection to the plant. And secondarily was when you are vaporizing, the surface area that you have that interacts with the oil is one of the most important factors to what temperatures you could use and how much flavor that you could get. So our atomizer has roughly 3 times the surface area as your standard vape pen. That allows us to use lower temperatures to give you larger clouds and better flavor. And for a lot of people, I think when they hear me say larger clouds, they go, wow, this must be a heavy-hitting machine. But we really designed this for the beginner as well as the connoisseur. You could just take a smaller puff if you need to take a smaller puff.
Yeah, that's what I do because I am a huge advocate for microdosing, but it works just as well for me. And one of the exciting things is that you already have a 1-to-1 cartridge.
Correct.
So for those who are looking for more of the health benefits and less of the high, and that's actually part of the bundle that's offered from HelloMD, we have a 1-to-1 cartridge, or not cartridge, pod.
Yep. And you actually asked a very interesting question that I completely didn't answer, which was you said that there was no power settings or temperature settings, and you're absolutely correct. So one of the things that we noticed was having the proper temperatures to optimize not just the flavor profile, but the delivery of the cannabinoids without destroying them. You have to choose the right temperature.
Yes.
So we give pods of different temperatures to all of our filling partners. They test it out with their oil. So they choose the one that's optimized for that specific cultivar. The Royal Ringo, the 1-to-1, that is set at a different temperature than, say, Eel River's Chernobyl, because one has a higher concentration of CBD, and those volatilize at different temperatures. So the great thing is for the end user, all you need to do is put the pod in, the device auto-calibrates to the right temperature, and you just have to enjoy it.
I love it. So we actually have a question that came in, which is more of a request. And people would like to see you take a big hit.
Sure, sure.
Would you mind?
I don't know what they've been watching, but I've been taking big hits all episode, but let's go ahead and do one more.
It's essentially just as powerful, if not more so, than a dab rig. I will say that because I am a dabber. I've used dab rigs. Here we go. There's no limit to this.
It's a big hit.
Wow. There we go.
All right.
Lungs of steel.
Now I am in flow state.
And we're ready for our own practice after this. So everybody, it's time for our last giveaway. So if you want to get in flow state like Seibo Shen, go ahead and drop us another comment. This is our last chance. So you put a hashtag Hello Hanu. We are so excited to get this to you, and we're waiting. And here is our next winner.
Oh, wow.
Already. Todd N510. I'm guessing you're from the Bay Area, so thank you for tuning in. We love Oakland.
Yes, yes.
Congratulations, you have just won your very first Hanu. For everyone else that has been tuning in, thank you so much for watching today. If you're interested in purchasing your first Hanu Stone along with 2 pods, we have an incredible bundle special going on. Just scroll down on the HelloMD website and purchase it. You're gonna save a bundle and get a bundle. It's amazing. So thank you all for tuning in today. It has been a pleasure talking with Seibo and Dr. Cheryl about all things vape and fitness. Until next time, everyone.